It's time for Losses Above Replacement, the best baseball podcast to grace your ears, with your hosts, Alex.
Gosh, I have so many questions. Also, where's my car?
Splash.
Strive to love something as much as my grandmother loves buying new crock pots.
And Mac.
If you've ever been to Boston, you know that they have amazing ice cream.
Coming to you from coast to coast, it's LAR.
Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? Shohei Ohtani is en route to Toronto.
I don't know what it was going to be. I knew it was going to be an en route to Toronto joke. I knew it was going to be. That son of a gun.
I do not have sources on where Robert Urjevec is right now, but I know Shohei Ohtani is on his way to Toronto, and he will be in Toronto Friday night. So, with all due respect to Alex, sorry, but the memes, they write themselves. The meme game never stops, it never fails. Shohei Ohtani and the Los Angeles Dodgers are heading to Toronto to face the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays back in the World Series for the first time since 1993. The Dodgers looking to become the first team to repeat since the 98, 99, 2000 Yankees. Narratives. We have, are the Dodgers ruining baseball? I guess Toronto has narratives. I don't know.
The movie's just a few years out of production.
Yeah, that's true. And hey, to our credit, we were never wrong about the Blue Jays. We were just early.
Just 3 years early.
Yeah, exactly. That's true Nostradamus from us on this.
Yeah, they didn't know what year we were talking about. We knew the World Series was going to happen this way eventually, but we said it had to be in 2022.
Exactly. When I picked the Blue Jays and Braves, I was accidentally 30 years in the past.
You know what?
Who knows?
I'll be sometimes.
Yeah. So at some point, every prediction will come true. I think, right? That's how that works, right?
So what we're gonna have now is a World Series in the later years is going to be the Seattle Mariners versus the Toronto Argonauts.
Correct.
And it is going to be great.
Yes. Okay. Well, folks, we have a very easy docket today. We're talking about the NLCS. Then we're going to talk about torture. Then we have trivia. Then we have our time to ourselves. So, folks, before we hop in, make sure you drop a like if you're watching on YouTube. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or another podcasting service, make sure you drop a 5-star review and drop a comment, drop a review. Say, hey, man, I love that you do trivia. Or, hey, onions do not belong on a cheesesteak. Yes, I'm working on a new intro. Mac is shaking his head.
Cap.
Those are fighting words, pal. So you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram at LAR_baseball. You can follow me at Mr. Splashman19, Alex at the Sports Guy 242, Mac at Mathias_A_K. And now we begin to the slaughter that was the NLCS. It was so bad, in fact, that the narrative wasn't, man, look at how good the Dodgers are. It was, the Dodgers have ruined baseball. We're going to have a lockout in a couple years. Thank you, Milwaukee Brewers, for your sacrifice. Fellas, I'll start with you, Mac. What's your response to this Dodgers sweep of the Brewers? The Brewers swept them in the regular season, both in Milwaukee and in Los Angeles, had the better record, and the Dodgers said, we are the defending champions, get wrecked.
And really, this series, it was just pure domination from the Dodgers pitching staff. And, game 2, Jackson Chourio leads off with the home run against Yamamoto on the first pitch of the first pitch of the night from him. And that, if you wouldn't believe it, was the only lead the Brewers had all series. And it was the only home run the Brewers hit all series. I don't think the Dodgers offense necessarily lit the world on fire. Obviously we could talk about Ohtani's performance in game 4 all day. That was straight out of a video game. 6 shutout innings, 10 strikeouts, 3 home runs. And the thing is that every single one of those home runs were majestic. The first one goes to the back of the pavilion. The second one goes over everything. The third one goes dead center. It was just, I feel like, the edgy thing all of a sudden is to, hate on Ohtani for signing with the Dodgers and for baseball fans to bring up the whole interpreter fiasco, but we are witnessing greatness here. And I almost feel like baseball fans are taking it for granted. He is just a ridiculous athlete. So, I mean, the Dodgers pitching staff, though, 4 runs in 4 games. I mean, the Brewers had their one opportunity in game 1, and Bryce Terang bailed on that breaker from Blake Treinen and then swung at a pitch over his head. It felt like right there, it felt like the Brewers had lost the series. I said the Dodgers were going to win in 5, but they made this series just, it was not particularly close, even with the Dodgers offense not even performing at full strength. And that's the scary thing heading into this World Series, is that it feels like the Dodgers still haven't peaked. Maybe their pitching staff has peaked, but their offense definitely has not. Ohtani was 2 for 11 in the series and kind of in a weird slump going into game 4. Just insane performance by the Dodgers pitching staff. And boy, I don't know what to say about the Brewers. I had a feeling they were going to be an early exit. I just didn't expect it to be in this fashion.
Yeah, no, I mean, this series was a joke. Like, just being fully honest on it, this series itself was a joke. And it feels weird because, like, also I predicted the Brewers to win here because I thought that the scrappy underdog is going to overcome here because they've got all the momentum. And then you have the idea of rest versus rust here that could be playing on here, which we'll talk about a little bit later on when we get to the World Series itself. But it just didn't feel fair from the word go on this. Like, the entire time, again, aside from one time for the Brewers, the Dodgers were either tied or ahead. And at no point, and I'm going to be very clear on it when I say this, at no point did this series ever look like it was even in danger of going to the Brewers. Like, that's domination. That is the definition of domination here. And like you said, it came from every end of the Dodgers here. The pitching staff was incredible. The hitting staff was good, very good, but still, you had Ohtani not getting a whole lot of production until game 4 here, but you had other players really figure a lot of things out. Here, you had guys like Freddie Freeman kicking absolute butt, Will Smith kicking butt. It was, I'm gonna feel really bad saying this here. This felt like a sibling rivalry, but that it was 2 siblings playing basketball. One was 13, the other was 7. That's what it felt like. There was not much of a chance here. And I feel bad about that because I legitimately do think that the Brewers are a very good baseball team. I mean, heck, take a look at their record. They have won games. You can be scrappy and still be really good here. They had the scrap, but none of the result here for the Brewers. And it just felt bad. I mean, you had guys, like Jake Bauers, who had some amazing offense here. You've had other players figure out. Caleb Durbin did some interesting stuff as well here. I mean, also, I definitely want to give shout out, of course, to Andrew Vaughn here, and Jackson Chourio. But it just, again, I've said this a couple times now, it didn't feel fair. It always felt like the Dodgers started every game with a 3-0 lead. That's how the Brewers played that game, each of these games.
Yeah, and I think the sports series that this reminded me of was the 2018 NBA Finals. That, going in that none of the Warriors are probably going to win this. And then game 1 happens and Cleveland gets the punch up and they're about to win the game. And then they screw it up in the end of regulation, losing overtime. And at the end of that, you're like, oh, that was probably their best shot. And then after that, it was just a foregone conclusion of who was going to win. And we can talk about the star-studded lineup at another time, the Betts and Freeman and Ohtani and Teoscar and Muncy and Will Smith, but they weren't the story. The story was the pitching, and the story was the lack of hitting. I have it highlighted here on stream. The Brewers hit 118 for the series. So essentially, every time the Brewers went through their lineup, they would get one hit. That's not getting it done. They had a 191 on base percentage. In other words, again, you go through the lineup, they are expected, fewer than 2 of them are expected to reach base. They slugged 193. So that lineup, that constructed lineup 1 through 9, that was very good during the regular season. They do all the little things well. They broke baseball in some ways. Averaged under 2 total bases per time through the order. A true disaster of an offensive performance. And yeah, it was so bad that the Dodgers are like essentially cheating. That's what the conclusion that a lot of people have drawn. The Andrew Vaughns of the world, 0 for 12. Sal Frelick, 1 for 14. Joey Ortiz, 0 for 6. Isaac Collins, 0 for 6. Bryce Turang, 1 for 15. Christian Yelich, 1 for 14. William Contreras, 2 for 14. Like, they, as a team, had just 6 extra base hits. Caleb Durbin had 2 doubles and a triple. Churio had a double and a homer, and Bowers had a double. Just an outright disaster of a series. They had 1 player with an OPS above 655. The entire, the Dodgers had 5 guys with an OPS above 655. Shohei had 1 good game, and he had a 1600 OPS. Just a preposterous series, and a series that ended in a sweep, and the scores, I don't even think, tell justice on how much of really a beatdown this was. 2-1, 5-1, 3-1, 5-1. It felt more like 2 to 0.1 and 5 to 0.1 and 3 to 0.1 and 5 to 0.1. There were, outside of the Turang moment in the first series or the first game, I didn't think there was another super high leverage spot for the Brewers. And I'll pull up the win probability chart. This is just a steady climb upwards, baby. There is no dips. There are no Giants blowing a 19-point lead in the fourth quarter here. There's nothing. It's just a steady incline. Just occasionally would go down when the Dodgers would make an out, and then it would go back up when the Brewers had their inning, and then it would go up and up and up and up and up and up. And this is not what you want. If you're a baseball fan, outside of being a Dodgers fan, of course, you want some intrigue, you want some interest, you want some big moments. There was 1 moment in this series with a bigger than 3% change in championship win probability added. That was the Turang strikeout. That was in game 1. After game 1, the biggest moment of the game was Tommy Edmonds singling off Mizorowski in game 3. This just was a fundamentally not very interesting series, unfortunately.
And the other thing I'll add is that everyone praised the Brewers all year about they put the ball in play, they always play great fundamental baseball, they do all the right things on offense. Maybe they bunt well, they run fast, but they struck out 41 times this series, which is averaging over 10 strikeouts per game. And I know they didn't get a lot of opportunities with runners in scoring position those first 2 games. They only got 1 opportunity with a runner in scoring position, one official at bat, and that was Turang striking out to end the game. They got none. Somehow they got none the entirety of game 2. Yoshi Yamamoto was just that good. But the last 2 games, so if you put it all together, they went 1 for 16 this series with the runners in scoring position, which is all right. You only had 16 official at-bats with runners in scoring position, but to only get 1 hit in those trips to the plate, that's just kind of, I hate to say it, it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, really, to me, this reminds me of when the Mets faced the Cubs in 2015. The Cubs went 7-0 against the Mets in the regular season, and then the Mets didn't trail for a single half inning the entirety of the NLCS. I look at this, it almost, the whole thing with, the Brewers swept the Dodgers in the regular season, it did not feel like that even mattered entering this series. It didn't even pop in my head when I was making my prediction. The Brewers fought tooth and nail just to get past the Cubs Well, it felt like the Dodgers, while their lineup wasn't that great against the Phillies, it felt like they breezed by the Phillies. So it felt like two teams that were sort of heading in wrong directions opposite directions, despite the fact that they'd both just won their previous series.
Yeah. And like one thing that's interesting, right? We talk about watching teams that are like on torn paces that finally get beaten once, and you say, oh, they are mortal here. The Dodgers didn't have that. They still are immortal right now. They even going back, like you said, to the Phillies series. I mean, how else do you describe Orion Kerkering throwing that ball out to lose the series here other than another act here that was basically I'm going to say it's a divine act to swing things the way that they needed to be here. Like, I don't think the Dodgers are human right now. Like, that's kind of the point of all of this here. Because not only were the Brewers always mortal, they knew this. We all knew this. We all had seen the issues with them here, but it didn't matter because they were winning. They were producing good results here through scrappy wins here. And that's not the Dodgers' MO. The Dodgers' MO is, I am going to beat you down. We have the star power to hold you down, and that is it. We are going to whisper in your ear that we are ruining baseball as they crush the throat. That is what the Dodgers do best.
And I just add one more thing here is that, Brewers fans have been all over the internet saying, oh, it's because the Dodgers payroll, like the Dodgers, if we had a salary cap, this wouldn't, it's just unfair. But I'm like, the salary cap, Dodgers payroll, it doesn't matter. Your team hit 118 this series. You scored 4 runs in 4 games. You scored 1 run per game. The Dodgers payroll didn't do that. You guys did that.
One thing I do need to be very clear on for just a second here. What I said here was not a knock on the Dodgers or even being mad at the Dodgers. Being genuine here. Like, it is a genuine, what just splashes a tip of the cap to them because they played like they wanted to win. That's the difference.
They don't look like,
The way I said it may have sounded like, okay, they're the villains now. No, they did the job they needed to do. I respect them for that here. You won the game. Your job as a baseball team was to win the games, and they did each so convincingly. You brought up the scores earlier here that all of them were quote-unquote close games here. None of them felt like it. Like I was saying earlier, it felt like every game started 2-0 in favor of the Dodgers. Every game started that way. But at the top of the first inning, the Brewers felt like they were playing from behind. Which, honestly, for them, a lot of times, that's their hot spot. Here, that's where the underdogs always pull ahead, right? That's why they're called underdogs here, because they go over. So they need to go over those teams here, and it just this time they could not do it. They tried. There's a couple rallies here and there, but really, it got squashed before there could be any level of momentum. This was a masterclass on aura for a team. To borrow something from the kids here, because I know old man Alex here. But this was showing how important it is to win and to win decisively.
So I don't know if we're going to have this conversation in the off season or when baseball shuts down here in a couple of years. For the crowd that says the Dodgers are ruining baseball, tune in to this. When we entered the season, particularly in the National League, there was some conversations to be had. The Dodgers were not overwhelming favorites. Maybe I'm a coping Braves fan, but I distinctly remember when Fangraphs had the Braves neck and neck with the Dodgers, and the Mets a couple wins behind, and the Phillies a couple wins behind. And in the offseason, we had conversations. Well, the Dodgers had this really nice pitching staff. It's not better than the Mariners or the Phillies, or I would argue the Braves and the bullpen. Well, they're paying 40-year-olds. And yes, you have the stars. You have Ohtani, you have Betts, you have Freeman. We ranked all of them in the top 3 at their respective position. We all had Ohtani as the number 1 DH, but we didn't have Will Smith in our top 5 catchers. We didn't have Teoscar in our right fielder list. We didn't have Muncy in our third baseman list. We didn't have Freddie at number 1 in the first baseman list. I think we'd all knocked him down. Maybe I had him at number 1 still, but we'd all we said that those were our words, and those were words of a lot of people ranking teams. Yeah, maybe you have the Dodgers at 1, but the Braves are close too. The Phillies, the Mets are in there. Maybe the Cubs are in there too. The Padres are really talented, and we happened to get an NLCS between the Dodgers and one of those teams that were not in that group. And I think this would have been a little bit different if it was the Phillies. The Phillies series was more competitive. Now, there was a Kershaw inning in there that gave the Phillies a big win. So the run difference didn't look like the Dodgers 1-4. But even the Mets, I know they sputtered out at the end of the season, but we saw them in a competitive series, a reasonably competitive series last year. They won 2 games in the NLCS. I think the Padres in that situation the
Padres had a 2-1 series lead against them last year.
Exactly. And we all know how talented the Padres and Braves and Cubs and Mets and Phillies are. And I know the Phillies were without Wheeler. So that's the Phillies, their best postseason pitcher, one of the best postseason pitchers of all time, just erased from their team. Imagine if you said the Dodgers, hey, Blake Snell, gambling suspension, you're gone. That would change things. So I know the ruining baseball narrative is going crazy right now, but I think part of that is it's like when the Lakers played the Sixers in the finals, and the Sixers aren't like the Iverson Sixers, to be clear. It's not like a legendary finals team, a legendarily good team. It's just an Allen Iverson carry job. So the Lakers look overpowered compared to that, but you look at some of the 2001 Lakers are a different breed. Maybe the 2002 Lakers, that they had a great series with the Kings, and people will argue to the day they die that series was rigged, right? There was competitiveness, but when you look at the finals, not very competitive, because who's guarding Shaq? And in this case, the Brewers are not up to the task of beating the Dodgers. The Braves have beaten the Dodgers in the playoffs before. The Mets took 2 out of 6 in the NLCS last year. The Padres and Diamondbacks have beaten them in the playoffs before. The Phillies took 1 game this year. There are teams that I think can beat the Dodgers in a 7-game series. That's why it's baseball. The Brewers are not one of those teams. They're essentially the Pirates in this regard. I'll actually take that back. They are worse than the Pirates because the Pirates have Paul Skeens.
Yeah, and also, I mean, look at this. The Brewers just made the NLCS, and we literally the next day, they're going to try to trade Freddie Peralta this offseason. Wow, that was quick. And I'll put this out there, which is that, say the Dodgers had signed Ohtani, signed Snell, signed Sasaki, all that, and we're losing in the playoffs, then it'd go back to the old narrative. The Dodgers are still chokers. So it's real, it's crazy how winning really flips that narrative quickly. And also, I'll point this out, that there's a difference between spending money and spending poorly, because the Dodgers, while Snell has been great and Yamamoto has been great, Sasaki struggled for most of the year until he became a reliever. They paid, I believe, $40 million to Tanner Scott, Kirby Yates, and Blake Trinan. 2 of those guys are not on the playoff roster, and Trinan has been the weakest link on the roster. So it's not like every dollar they spent goes into something amazing. There are struggles here and there too.
Mm-hmm. And people will point out the list of teams that have won the World Series and the payrolls are consistently high. Well, yes, they have good players. And when you have good players, you need to pay good players. You're not going to have the Moneyball A's situation. That's a thing of the past, that every team has Moneyball influence to some degree. The Dodgers are on the cutting edge of development and things like that. And yes, they have deeper pockets than basically every team in Major League Baseball. The Mets can have an argument there. You could argue the Dodgers have a stronger infrastructure. Maybe the Ohtani thing helps out. Maybe the pitching development. Maybe their labs are just better than everyone besides maybe Tampa, and they just have that both the financial dollars to spend at the roster and the financial dollars to spend at non-roster things. It's like their facilities, maybe they're better. There's a big off-season story about them having bidets because that's what Roki Sasaki wanted. So I don't know. And in that way, the Dodgers do things right. They do things right by their players. I'm wearing a hat of a team that does not do things right by their players. That, like, their minor league teams are screwed because they're in weird cities, so you can't get an adequate read on how good your players are. So you're in a spot that, are the Dodgers bad for baseball? Like, yeah, I would prefer parity. That'd be great. I don't necessarily want the same team winning every single season. But one, that's a credit to just how talented the team is and how good they are and how, like, legendary players, Shohei in particular this season, Betts in years past, Freddie Freeman, Yamamoto, Snell. It's like Snell is uncorking some of the greatest playoff pitching we've ever seen, by the way, just throwing that out there. And, like, you have a bunch of playoff risers, and then you have Clayton Kershaw. So that's the Dodgers. They sweep. They're back in the World Series for the second year in a row. The third time in the Mookie Betts administration. So Mookie Betts is looking for his fourth World Series ring. That is wild to think about.
And the fact that if they win this time, 3 of them will not be with the Red Sox.
Yeah. Imagine if you told someone after Manny Machado strikes out, Chris Sale, the GOAT, Cy Young award-winning Chris Sale strikes out Manny Machado, and they pan over to Mookie Betts, and the screen stops and says, "Did you know Mookie Betts was traded and won 3 World Series with the Dodgers?" True. Well, now we move, unfortunately, to the American League, where the torture begins. And I would like to start. That's okay. Blue Jays 4, Mariners 3, both in Game 7 and in the series. And there was a headline that caught my attention while I'm following along Game 7. Cal Raleigh and Julio Rodriguez had home runs. It was the home runs of their lives. It was the most important game they have ever played and will be the most important game they play until next season at this time, if things go well. Then, in the 7th inning, a player who has been in bigger moments, who has hit bigger home runs, who has lifted the Commissioner's Trophy, who has been World Series MVP, stepped up to the plate with 2 men on. 1 out, 2 guys on. A reliever comes in specifically to face him, and he has the single clutchest piece of hitting in the history of the American League Championship Series, and that is George Springer. That is a player who the Blue Jays went out and acquired. I actually couldn't believe it. It's year 5 for George Springer in Toronto, but I'm getting sidetracked. George Springer, one of the greatest playoff performers of a generation, with a career .883 OPS. That was his 23rd career home run, driving in his 45th, 46th, and 47th career runs. When the game is on the line, George Springer is him, and I think the Mariners will get back to this moment. They'll have healthier pitching next year, a good year out of George Kirby. You have young names on the farm that are coming up. You'll have a full season. Instead of Naylor, for example, being I know he's a free agent this offseason, but instead of him being a midseason acquisition, you have a full year of Naylor, or a full year of a Naylor type player. Maybe Pete Alonso comes to Seattle. A full year of a Eugenio Suarez type player. You still have the stalwarts, the Crawfords and the Raleighs and the Julios of the world. Seattle should be back here. And Alex, my condolences to you. My Braves lost a Game 7 on the road, 4-3, blowing a lead. The next year they won the World Series. So just throwing that out there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes. So in the game's biggest moments, Seattle's players rose to the occasion. Seattle Stars, they rose to their star level. George Springer said, "I am a era-defining player. Here is another highlight." That's my takeaway. George Springer, hello, at 35 years old with a broken knee, said, okay, it is my time. Here's my Jose Bautista moment. Here's my Edwin Encarnacion moment. Here's my Joe Carter moment. Blue Jays win the series. I don't think they're going to win the World Series. Maybe George Springer has something to say about that. Maybe Vladimir Guerrero has something to say about that. They were both spectacular in this series. I'll pull up the series summary here momentarily, but man, when the chips were down in the biggest moment, a 20-point swing and championship win probability added for George Springer. Like, that is a fifth of a championship in one swing of the bat. That's how valuable that swing was. And that's why you go out and you get the George Springers of the world. That's why we're going to have the next 3 months are going to be all, where should Pete Alonso sign? Where should Kyle Schwarber sign? Where should so-and-so sign? This is why we had those conversations. Big-time players make big-time plays. Seattle's players showed up. Fair enough to them. Their homegrown guys said, we are going to push through. They got great starting pitching. They had a great performance from Cal. They had a great performance from Julio. Their stars showed up. It just happens that the Blue Jays, their star free agent acquisition shown just a little bit brighter this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, watching this series, I mean, George Springer, I mean, that's the thing is he had the worst year of his career last year. You know, he batted .220. You know, he's in his mid-30s now. And this year, I was like, you know, first of all, coming into this year, I did not see the Blue Jays contending at all. I had them coming in last place. Their one big-ticket free agent acquisition was Anthony Santander, and he had the worst year of his career. And frankly, I mean, if you had told me at the beginning of the season that it'd be Blue Jays Mariners in the ALCS, I wouldn't have believed you. And that's not because I mean, look, I thought the Mariners were going to be a playoff team, but I did not see them getting this far. And to your point about, you know, years down the line, I saw a lot of people saying like, oh, this is their peak. Like, I don't know if they can get back to it. But you look at the overall roster. Okay, maybe Cal Raleigh doesn't hit 60 homers next year. All right, fine. They don't need him to hit 60 homers next year. Julio Rodriguez had a rocky first half before figuring things out. Randy Rosarena had a really bad month of September, and he struggled for most of the playoffs. You know, the pitching staff was flawed as a whole this year. George Kirby did not have his best year. Luis Castillo was solid, but he wasn't necessarily an ace. Logan Gilbert missed time. Like, they did not necessarily play at full strength until the postseason, it felt like. So I agree with, I mean, and Jeff Passan was on talking about that, I believe it was earlier today, or maybe it was yesterday, but it feels like this is a roster, if they can retain Josh Naylor, and, you know, Colt Emerson will probably be up at some point next year. Who knows what Harry Ford's role is going forward. Mitch Garver will be a free agent. This is a roster that I think can improve and can get back to the ALCS. And for the most part, I'd say Cal Raleigh played like an MVP this postseason. Julio Rodriguez, I know, went into a couple of offers, but overall, I think was good this postseason. Josh Naylor had a dreadful first couple games this postseason, but then was great for the rest of the postseason. I know the starting pitching faltered in the ALCS. All right, I'm not going to sugarcoat it there, but the bullpen was really good for the most part. All right, the one bad pitch should not cloud the fact that the bullpen was really good this postseason. So, I mean, look, the Blue Jays lineup, I do question if I know that we said this about the Brewers. Can the Dodgers pitching staff stop the Blue Jays offense? Because right now it feels like nothing can stop the Blue Jays offense. You have guys like Ernie Clement. Ernie Clement is a great fielder. He's never been known for his bat. Isaiah Kiner-Falefa came up and got a few big hits. Nathan Lucas, who was a 30-year-old rookie, had his big moments. And obviously, I'm not even talking about Vlad Jr. or George Springer. And Addison Barger all of a sudden made an adjustment, and he was hitting the cover off the ball. So it's going to be very hard to stop this Blue Jays lineup. I mean, heck, I didn't even mention Andres Jimenez, who had a pair of homers this series. I mean, these are guys who were largely pedestrian at the plate, who all of a sudden rose to the occasion. It was like a perfect storm of everything there. Pitching staff was very good for the most part. Bullpen, Jeff Hoffman led all AL relievers in home runs allowed this year, and he looks like the polar opposite of the guy who pitched for the Phillies last year. So I think this was the best series of the playoffs. As sort of an outsider, I know I really wanted the Mariners to win and get over the hump, but as an outsider, for the most part, I thought this was the best series of the postseason so far, and I think the Jays actually can put up a fight against the Dodgers. I don't know if they can win, but it's going to be interesting.
All right. I think people have been waiting for me to talk on this, just given who I am.
Oh, I do have one thing to insert. Vlad Guerrero, negative championship win probability added. So congratulations, you are retroactively a double bogey answer to last week's trivia segment. Alex,
Good job.
That makes no sense.
The floor is yours.
All right. It sucked. That hurt so much here watching as a Mariners fan, which I want to be very clear about something. The last time the Mariners were in the ALCS, I was 7. I don't remember it. I remember some games in Cleveland. That's about as far as my memory goes with it. So, forgive me for feeling very excited about the ALCS and then the letdown of the ALCS. I'm going to agree with you on a point here that this has probably been the most exciting series of the postseason so far. Anytime you go to Game 7, it is what's going on levels of what are you doing. But it's really hard not to focus on Game 7. It's really hard it's really hard to go back and remember the other moments that led to where we're at right now. Here, so I'm going to try my best to do that before I get back to Game 7. First off here, Game 5 is one of the greatest games I've ever watched. Oh my God. The 8th inning of that was, or I should say the bottom of the 8th inning was a inning that I swear if you could take all of the energy that was in that stadium, it would power up Goku's Spirit Bomb so large it would kill Frieza 20 times over. That's how strong that the emotion was for that moment, for that time. The fact that people were comparing Eugenio Suarez's grand slam here to Edgar's double in the ALDS at 95 here, to where we now have we now have the double and the slam. If Seattle wins in Game 7, that narrative becomes true. It isn't, though. Is it still one of the greatest moments in Seattle baseball history? Absolutely. And rightly so. Gino had a horrific postseason. Legitimately, you go back to before this game, if I remember correctly, he was batting like 125 here. He had 1 homer. He did not look good. Then this game, hits a home run to give them their 1 run, then hits the grand slam. He accounted for 5 of the 6 Mariner runs in that game. But just keep going with this here. The series started in such a weird way. Here in Toronto, Seattle had 1 day of rest, whereas the Blue Jays had multiple days of rest here. Bryce Miller, you're hoping to get maybe 3-4 innings out of him. Go 6 strong, and the Mariners win. And everyone's like, oh, the Mariners are going to win this. They just stole one from Toronto in Toronto. Like, what's going on? And then even more so, they win Game 2. Being up 2-0, going to Seattle. The hopium was stupidly on overdose levels of high. And it made sense here. You're going home to the stadium that you have played so well at this year, despite everything. And you went on that where you just needed 2 wins. You didn't even need to win all 3. You just needed 2. And then you drop 2 off of the offense falling completely flat and the bullpen having trouble here. Carlos Vargas, how you doing? That's mean to Carlos Vargas, but not going there. But then next game just couldn't outscore because the the Blue Jays bats decided to show up even more so. And then you get to Game 5 again. That swing from Gino I don't know what the championship win probability added was here. You can probably look it up here for me. That'd be appreciated. But that was a moment that...
the Grand Slam?
Yeah, the Grand Slam.
That would be not as high as you'd think because it was a tie game. Let me pull up game 4. 1 second.
That's fair.
While
you're putting that up here, there was so much hope that was re-brought in at that moment. Because you took the series then 3 games to 2, which, mind you as well, is the same number of games that won you the series against Detroit. And now you have 2 games in Toronto against a team that you've already beaten in Toronto twice that series. Just twice that series. And, man, let's see here. It was 12%?
Correct, 12%.
Yeah, okay. Bases were loaded, no outs.
Yeah, so amazing. Yeah, still an amazing swing. And you just have to kind of figure out here, like, okay, you got to take one. Just one. It could be a fluke win. It could be a dominating win. Just win. The Mariner Bats looked absolutely anemic in Game 6. Like, it wasn't even funny how bad the Mariners offense looked in Game 6. Here, it did not look like they had much of a chance. I was watching this game live, actually, at T-Mobile Park for a watch party, and the energy was only there for Naylor's home run, and that's about it. Not much else was there. And the crowd was just trying to pump each other up, which, by the way, amazing crowd. Great time. And then Game 7. I don't know if the audience here can tell here. I've had a cold for like the last nearly a week. Here's my voice is still not at 100%. But I had to watch the game alone in my room here where my family was watching it downstairs because I didn't want to get them sick. That didn't work. They're now sick. Anyway. But that home run, I'm just going to go right to it. Seattle ahead 3-1. Runners on at second and third. Springer coming up to the plate. Dan, I love you. Dan Wilson, I absolutely love you. I think you are the right manager for this team. You led this team to the first championship series since you were a player. I've criticized a few of your decisions. I don't even criticize you bringing in Bizzardo. I have one thing. We've talked about here how important Springer is. Which, by the way, just to be very clear here for a sec here, I hate that it was Springer because it just means even more that the Astros, out of contention, can still rip our hearts out. But with a free base on at first and one of the best, this is high praise considering that I'm saying this about an Astros, former Astro player, one of the best postseason hitters of all time in George Springer. Why not walk him? I understand that a base hit that ties the game. You know he's not going to be running as fast because his knee's hurt. The guy behind him was Nathan Lukes, which, mind you, Nathan Lukes has had himself a good series. Who would you rather face? One of the best postseason hitters in the modern era, or a 30-year-old rookie who's just been hot for a bit? With the bases loaded, who would you rather face? And look, I understand why they did not. They felt like they could get him out, especially with the injury. But man, and I know hindsight's 20/20. That's what you can always say. When that ball was hit, I've broken up with girlfriends before. I have lost a loved one here. This felt similarly. And I don't want to downplay those things. This is all very serious. But you just watched in that one moment everything that this season has built up, all the hope, all the love for this team, for these players, gone in the snap of a finger. With that being said, Seattle played amazingly, aside from a few bits of offensive ineptitude. But it was, I could say this as a fan, one of the most fun experiences I have ever had in baseball. And I'm so happy that we got this far. Because so many people are already angry at the team. And I understand that. I get it. But remember this. Seattle has been playing baseball now, the Seattle Mariners, for just under 50 years. This is only the 4th time in their history they have made the championship series. This is only, I believe, the 5th time now that they have won the division. Here. It's either 4th or 5th. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. So wait, no, it was 95, 97, and 2001?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
because they were a wild card in 2000.
Yeah. So it was the 4th time you've won the division. Away from the Astros. Good for you on that. Remember the beautiful things that this year gave. Right? Remember Cal hitting 60 home runs. And on top of it, you got the playoff home runs. Has the most home runs in the history of the American League in a season. Is number 1 at 65. Aaron Judge was at 64. That's actual true.
Yankee fans are big mad about that.
I'm aware. And they deserve it.
As the stand-in for the Yankees right now, the mad part about it is that Ruth played 1 round in the playoffs year after year.
It is true, yes.
Imagine Babe Ruth with modern playoff.
Right?
Or Mickey Mantle.
Yeah.
Lou Gehrig.
But anyway, back on it. Like, don't forget how amazing this was. When you traded for Gino and you heard the story of the plane being held up, so then Gino could get on the plane to fly with the team again, and then them cheering when he got on the plane. Remember here the feeling that you saw here when Seattle swept the Astros in Houston here to all but eliminate them from playoff contention. Don't let this one series define the entire year. Please don't. This was a truly magical year. The fact that you won the division for the first time since I was 7, and I'm the old man of this podcast, I was literally tearing up. I was tearing up as it happened. I was sobbing when they lost, and I'm a man enough to admit that. But don't forget how important this was, but don't forget what you did not get either. Keep that fight up, that chip on the shoulder, and win the whole friggin' thing in 26.
All right.
I mean,
with that
noted, I'll say this much also. I'm really glad I got to go to a Mariners game this year at T-Mobile.
It was fun, yeah.
I mean, you could just tell that like the fans, the atmosphere they're creating, like they want it. And being around them, I truly think they deserve it. So I do hope that they go the extra mile at some point, and maybe it is next year. Who knows? But yeah, no, I mean, it was really fun to watch them this year. Kind of remind me of the 2006 Mets. Also, I'm going to be honest. I sympathize with Julio here.
Yeah. I cried.
I'm kind of with him.
I cried hearing this. For those of you that are not on the audio or not watching on YouTube,
on video, on YouTube.
Here, Splash just brought up the video here of Brian Wu being interviewed, and in the background you hear Julio scream in agony.
We're not going to play the audio for you.
Yeah.
It's all over the internet.
Yeah, go look at it if you're a masochist.
Yeah, and I completely empathize with him because
I
understand. I've been in that situation before, like losing in those big moments. It's a terrible feeling, really. But like I said, this kind of reminds me of the 2006 Mets, who are my favorite team of all time. That won 97 games, only to lose Game 7 of the NLCS. Granted, they lost at home, which hurt just as much. And I had gone to bed because I was 6 years old, so I wasn't awake for that Carlos Beltran strikeout. But like,
were you awake for the
I get it.
playoff catch of all time.
Well, yeah, I was awake for that. I'm pretty sure I went to bed right after Andy made the catch. I mean, for a lot of kids these days, they'll probably say the 2025 Mariners are their favorite Mariners team of all time right now. So, I mean, they have a lot to be proud of. And I understand their frustration, though, with not getting over the hump. But I have a feeling that this is, like Jeff Passan was saying, this is the start of something.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think the American League is wide open. We'll get to the World Series here in a moment, but the American League is wide open. Even the big bad Yankees are probably the favorites, but I guess I have this shtick now that I picked the Braves to lose the World Series 4 straight years. Maybe I picked the Phillies one year, but I don't know. I feel like I picked the Braves to lose in the World Series every year. But I was thinking about who I would pick to win the American League, and I don't love any team. Like, I don't think the Blue Jays are going to go back. I don't love the Yankees. I would take the field over any individual team. So
yeah, I agree.
It's a wide open league, and maybe it's just a case of being the 1 or the 2 seed. The Yankees were the 4 seed, and they had to fight through an extra round of the playoffs, right? And the Guardians / Tigers, they were battling for a 3 seed and had to fight through an extra round of the playoffs. So that's like, you don't get to go Scooble in game 1, for example. You have some like give and take in how the playoffs function. So in this year, the Blue Jays were the number 1 seed. They go to the World Series. The Mariners were the number 2 seed. They have a strong showing in the LCS. The Brewers were the 1 seed. They do not have a strong showing, but they did at least make it to the LCS. So sometimes it's just a matter of, these ebbs and flows of a season that I've said it before, like if you chop up a player's season or chop up a team season, sometimes you get a really good run of play for 162 games or a section of that 162. Other times you don't. So yeah, I could see the Mariners in the World Series next year. I could see the Yankees. I could see, I guess the Blue Jays, they have the proof of concept. Maybe the Tigers, if they don't trade Scooble. I'm sure we'll talk about that a lot in the offseason. Maybe the Astros or Rangers actually figure out how to play baseball again. Unfortunately, not the A's or Angels. Rays, miracle run, I don't know. So with that, here are the odds for the World Series. As you can imagine, the Dodgers are favored on FanDuel at least, minus 225. The Blue Jays are plus 188. So, fellas, our quick World Series predictions. Mac, I will start with you.
Man, I've been going back and forth on this one a lot. And wait, are we just like giving our prediction, any explanation or anything? Or
yeah, you can give an explanation if you'd like.
A quick explanation. I actually think it's a lot closer than people think, at least on position player sides of things. Blue Jays are getting Bo Bichette back this series, which is huge. It might hurt them defensively, but I think it definitely is a big boost to the offense. Dodgers are favored pitching wise across the board, but they do not have home field advantage, and the Blue Jays are very tough to beat at home. They went 54-27 at home, best record in the AL. I feel like on paper, yeah, the Dodgers, my one concern there, they had a full week off. We've seen this before. Teams sweep, wait a week, come out flat. I am going to pick the Blue Jays in 7 games. I think it's going to go down to the wire. Toronto, I think that having home field advantage is going to help them big time. So give me Toronto in 7.
Yeah, all right. Matt coming in with the heat. Who is your World Series MVP?
I'm going to go back to old reliable. It's George Springer.
All right.
He's going to break the Dodgers' hearts again.
All right. Alex, over to you.
Right. I'm not going with the weird pick here. Dodgers are winning this here, and they're gonna win it in 5 here, so they can win it in Los Angeles. Here, they will win 1 game in Toronto. Actually, no, I'm gonna be even more bold here. I'm gonna say that they win game 2. So, Toronto takes an early 1-0 lead in the series, winning the opening game, and then the Dodgers just unload.
Gentleman's sweep.
Gentleman's sweep at that point. Yeah. And my MVP for that is going to be one Mr. Shohei Ohtani, because he's going to pitch 7 innings in 1 game, and then will probably come out of the bullpen in another game. And over the course of the series,
think that's happening, by the way.
That would be sick.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. Yeah.
It's going to happen at some point.
And there will be at the very least 5 home runs from him.
5 home runs from Ohtani.
Yeah, because on top of his starting pitching for the Blue Jays is very good.
Mm-hmm.
The relievers have been choking a bit. So I think he gets a lot of these home runs also gone.
Okay, so for those just listening, they on FanDuel have World Series specials for Shohei Ohtani. 25,000 or plus 25,000 for him to have a 4-homer game. 5,500 to have 10 Ks and 2 homers in a game. Plus 22,500 to have 10 strikeouts and 3 homers in a game. These are just preposterous.
These are some insane bets, man.
Player hit a home run 500 feet plus 15,000.
I mean, that's possible.
I think either Ohtani or Vlad could do that.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think but I think it could happen.
Any World Series game to end in a walk-off home run
plus
550.
That's a great
that would be
prop.
I
think it could happen.
Yeah, I think it will too.
Oh, okay. Any game to end in a walk-off is essentially 50-50 plus 100.
I think we're going to get one for sure.
Any game to go to extras is plus 115.
There's a lot of very interesting prop bets on here. So.
Yeah, gotta love. Gamble responsibly, please. Don't gamble more than you can afford to lose. All right.
Make sure you call the gambling hotline if you need help.
Yes, we should get sponsored. By the way, I have been looking for a bet. I wish I could. Oh, here. I guess here's what I'm looking for. The Dodgers are winning this in Los Angeles. I don't know if it'll be 4 or 5, but they're winning it in Los Angeles. That is my bet. That's my pick. Do they win in 4? Or do I pick them to win in 4, then they win in 5? Do I pick them to win in 5 and they win in 4? I don't know. I believe the Dodgers are going to win the series in Los Angeles. That's my pick. I'll take them under 5.5 games. I wonder if I can parlay it like that together. No.
Maybe. Sounds like something that's reasonable.
Yeah, that sounds like an entirely reasonable bet. I know they have a series handicap, but that only is a minus 1.5 games, which would give me a game 6 to fiddle with, but I don't think it'll go to a game 6. So, yeah. So some of your selections can't be combined into a single parlay. But I have the Dodgers winning in Los Angeles, so that would mean in 5 or fewer games. So that's my bet. And I agree with Alex. I think Shohei wins Super Bowl MVP. He might actually at this point.
I can see that. Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him. Conn Smythe as well, and NBA Finals MVP. But yeah, I think Shohei wins World Series MVP.
I'll say this much: the Dodgers do not want this going back to Toronto.
Absolutely.
You want to finish this at home, or you have to go back to the Rogers Center, and you do not want that. No matter if you're up 3-2 or down 3-2.
Mm-hmm. And that's a scary thing going back on the road, because that is, in fairness to the Dodgers, one of the perks about the whole not being the top seed is they got to close out their series in LA both times, in game 4 against the Phillies and in game 4 against Milwaukee, and they had a game to fiddle with if they are in the LCS. Had they been the 1 seed, they would have had to close both of those series out on the road in game 4s. So that is one perk, I guess, of being the lower seeded team, is that you do get 2 chances in theory to clinch at home if you can take care of business on the road. So there's that.
I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, in the last or since 2012, there are only 2 instances of clinching at home for the World Series: the Astros in 22 and the Red Sox in 2013. So been a lot of road clinching, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds about right. I know the Braves clinched on the road. Nationals clinched at Minute Maid as well.
Dodgers clinched at Globe Life Field.
that plays a role in it. Let's see. The other Dodgers
was in the Bronx last year. So
the Rangers was in Arizona.
That was in Arizona, yeah.
They were like 9-0 on the road or something stupid.
They didn't lose a single road game. Yeah, it was
that's
ridiculous.
The Dodgers might do that this. Yeah, the Dodgers might do that this year.
Yeah, actually, wow, they have a chance to do that.
Yeah, their only loss was at game 3 at home.
Yeah.
So, those are our World Series predictions, and for our trivia, we're gonna stick on the same theme.
Let's go.
World Series trivia. Just kidding. It's Blue Jays and Dodgers trivia. I have the frivolous page on Baseball Reference. Name a player. Both of you will be naming players who played for both the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. You have 113 players here, so quite a lot of leeway. It's not
how many
one of those,
strikes?
You have
One
5
strike?
people. We're gonna go with 2. We'll go with 2 strikes. You get one freebie.
I'm struggling to think of one.
Yes. You get one freebie, and then the next time you're gone. So there are 113 players. Alex, please pick a number between 1 and 100.
24.
All right, Mac.
32.
The answer is 50. Mac, you may begin. Name a player who played for both the Dodgers and the Blue Jays.
Go with Mets legend Rod Barajas.
Rod Barajas. Let me get him highlighted on here.
I know the Mets let him go on waivers too.
That would be correct. He played about 100 games with the Dodgers and over 200 games with the Blue Jays. Alex. Alex's corpse.
I'm really bad at trying to remember these. It's funny. I'm like good at the reverse, whereas like you tell me a player and I'll tell you like what teams they play for, but not the reverse.
Sure.
So the teams.
Okay.
Okay. There's only one name that's coming to my head here, but I'm like 99% sure it's wrong.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it anyway though. Vernon Wells.
Vernon Wells is incorrect.
He did not play for
He
the
played
Dodgers.
for the Angels though.
And he played for the Yankees, of course.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking of. That he played for the Yankees.
I saw him play for the Yankees.
Right. Yeah. Mac, back to you.
Brandon Morrow.
Brandon Morrow, MLB Power Pros legend. That would be correct.
He was a workhorse for those 2017 Dodgers.
Did he have one of the? I remember him pitching the playoffs.
He pitched nearly every single game in the playoffs.
Yes.
And had one bad outing.
He had 500 innings with the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I remember he threw a 1-hit shutout or a 2-hit shutout against the Mets when he was with Toronto. He also, I believe, has the.
Okay. He was on the Mariners and MLB Power Pros. My bad.
Yes, he was. Yeah, that's when he was still a starter.
Doesn't he have the highest game score of the 21st century or something?
I can look that up after the podcast.
I know he had a game where he struck out 17 in a 1-hit shutout.
I think Scherzer has it.
That makes sense.
Like a 16 strikeout no-hitter. Yeah.
17, I believe.
I mean,
it was the second one when the Mets had already clinched.
Yes. Let's see. Games.
Oh.
Yeah, you have a name?
Yeah, I have a name, but I've been waiting. It's like waiting to say, all right, Alex.
Alex. Oh, wait, Mac, have you... Oh, you did take Brandon Morrow. Okay.
Yeah, Justin Turner.
Justin Turner, Red Turn 2 is correct.
Yeah, I
forgot about his Blue Jays days.
He is one of the highlighted players on Baseball Reference.
Nice.
He's one of 5 highlighted players on Baseball Reference. There's 2 Hall of Famers.
I hate that I'm remembering things now after I already have a strike.
So the other guys, 2 Hall of Famers, one guy who will be a Hall of Famer, and another guy who is one of my favorite players of all time, actually.
I'll go with the guy who will be a Hall of Famer, Matt Scherzer.
He might pitch in the series. I imagine he's going to.
He will.
Scherzer does have the highest game score, although Morrow is one of 9 pitchers to have a 100.
Yeah.
All right, Alex.
I'm don't have much to work.
There are going to be some fun names I run through here when we're.
I bet. I very much bet that. I'm just trying to I'm trying to first go with Blue Jays that I know.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I feel like this is not going to be true at all here, but I feel like he journeyed around enough that it could work. Travis Snyder?
Did he play I don't think he played for the Dodgers.
I don't know if he played for the Dodgers. I know he played for the Blue Jays.
There's not a Travis.
All right, so
that would be that's a loss incorrect. Congratulations, Mac.
Thank you.
Your prize is, I'm going to read off some fun names. John Axford played 1 year for both. Nice. Geronimo Baroa played 1 year for both. Hank White, a.k.a. Henry Blanco, played 1 year for both. Some guys on the 2025 teams. Buddy Kennedy played for both teams. He will
Jose
be getting a World
Urania,
Series
right?
ring this year. Teoscar Hernandez, anybody?
Yep.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, wow.
Justin Brule played for the Blue
Brule,
Jays this season. Kevin Kiermaier, both teams in 2024. Jimmy Garcia, Jake Lamb, Hyunjin Ryu, Kevin Biggio.
Ryu, oh my God. Yeah.
Edwin Jackson. No love
He
for
played
the
for
GOAT.
everybody.
Curtis,
Wait, did he actually get in a game with Toronto?
Yes, a couple games.
Oh,
He
at the end of
actually
his
had 3
career.
at-bats.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually had 3 at-bats with Toronto. Curtis Granderson, Matt Latos,
Right.
JP Howell, Darwin Barney, David
I
Price,
almost said JP Howell.
Canadian legend Russell Martin, Daniel Navarro, Kevin Pillar, recently retired Kevin Pillar, Ramon Ortiz, one of the worst playoff performer, or that's Russ Ortiz, never mind. Andy LaRoche.
Andy LaRoche? Oh, wow.
Yeah, Andy LaRoche.
Did not know he
Jesse
played for
Chavez. When he wasn't on the Braves, he had to be somewhere.
Toronto.
Juan
He was on
Rivera,
the Pirates, I
MLB
know.
Power Pros legend. Dana Eveland, A's legend and MLB Power Pros.
Mets
Shea
legend.
Hildebrand. Theodore Roosevelt Lilly. Reed Johnson. Orlando Hudson. Mark Hendrickson. Jason Worth. Young man Jason Worth, in fact.
Yep. Before
Cesar
the crazy
Izturis,
beard.
Esteban Loaiza. Raul Mondesi. Casey Blake.
Wow.
Devon White, one of my favorite players of all time. Ricky Henderson.
Dodger at the end of his career. Yeah.
David Wells. Perfect game fame.
I didn't know he played
Fred
for
McGriff,
Dodgers.
another Hall of Famer. Al Oliver. Alfredo Griffin had one of the worst seasons in MLB history. We might cover that another time. Pedro Bourbon. Octavio Dotel, rest in peace. Mark Guthrie. Oh, that's the wrong Guthrie I was thinking of. Brandon League, another Mariner legend.
Yep.
Sergio
All-Star.
Romo.
Another
Oh, wow.
Mariner.
I forgot about that. I forgot about Romo on either of those teams.
Ronald Acuna's son. Jose Urania.
Yep.
Pat
Mets
Venditti.
legend.
And then the follower himself, Ryan Yarborough. So a lot of fun names on that list. Mitch White. I remember he was on my fantasy team. I was so excited for him when he got traded from the Dodgers to the Blue Jays. Like, oh yeah, Mitch White. He's the truth. The Dodgers are dumb for letting him go. And then he had a 7 ERA with the Blue Jays. So
I saw Mitch White pitch in a spring training game last year, and I'm pretty sure John Schneider let him throw 5 or 6 innings. I was like, oh, maybe Mitch White can do something in the majors this year. And then, yeah. He. I also saw Dan Vogelback get driven in by IKF hitting a home run in a battle, in a play including 2. I can't even call them. I don't want to call them disgrace, but 2 divisive New York baseball players. Because I know Yankee fans had choice words about IKF, and Mets fans went from loving Dan Vogelback to not loving Dan Vogelback.
Hey man, all I know is IKF was the first Yankees pitcher to hit a home run since they instituted the DH.
Yeah, since they instituted the DH.
That was my favorite day of covering the Yankees. Was that day, even though they got wrecked.
They got blown out.
And I was one day off of the Domingo Germán perfect game. All right. With that said, congratulations, Mac, answering the bell with the trivia. We advance to our moment to ourselves. If it's okay, I would like to go first.
Go for it, man.
Go right ahead.
All right. 3. Oh, someone count me down.
Your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Folks, if you have a job and you work with other people, great. Consider for a moment, I want you to go through this process. Step 1, if you have a problem with another employee, think about your perspective. Whatever the problem is with your coworker. Then think to yourself, do I do my job well enough that I could have a conversation and be on stable ground? If the answer is yes, I do my job well enough that I could have stable ground in my argument, then approach that person. If you don't, then don't approach that person. And if you don't, especially don't go over the head of the other employee to a manager and say, this guy sucks at his job. Because when you do that, or when you're the victim of this crime, you get screwed. It's a very selfish thing to do. I had a coworker at work who went behind my back, went to the manager of the department and the manager of the store and said, hey, Ryan isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing. He's doing X, Y, and Z. He never approached me about this. He's just blabbering on to, like, that is the kind of thing that affects pay. That's the kind of thing that affects, like, my job security. And I'm entirely out of the loop. That is a very selfish thing to do. If you had any sort of sense, you'd come to me and say, hey, why aren't you doing this? Or have a conversation about it. Like, if you're going to complain about X, Y, and Z, then I can address X, Y, and Z. Oh, why are you doing this? I was told to do this. Why are you doing that? I was told to do that. That was my specific instructions. We have different instructions. We don't work the same job. So don't go, if you have an issue with another employee, another coworker, don't go to your boss complaining about it. Have a conversation with the person. Say, hey, can we chat about this? What are you doing this for? Because the only person you're helping is yourself in that situation. You're not helping the other person. You're not helping your employer. You're not helping your boss. You're not fixing the problem, right? Imagine if it was like, say, for example, he's allergic to peanut butter, for example. Well, if I brought a peanut butter sandwich into work and he complains to management that I bring a peanut butter sandwich into work, well, I don't know. And I'm like ostracized for it. And I look bad to everyone else in the company for bringing a peanut butter sandwich. But if he says, hey, Ryan, I'm allergic to peanut butter. Can you maybe use almond butter? Sure thing. I can fix the problem. And then we don't have to go to management. We don't have to talk to anyone above. It's fixed, right? So be good at your job before you start taking shots at other people.
Is it so weird nowadays to talk about your problems?
People these days are not very good at it. I'm just gonna be straight up.
It'd be like
it's really
just get thrown under the bus. And then I'm the one having to clean up his problems.
Mac, would you mind going next year? I'd really like to go last.
Yeah, sure.
All right, your time begins in 3, 2, 1, begin.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out the other playoffs going on. Major League Wiffle Ball. It's excellent. Great product. Just gonna say it right now. They post once a week on Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern. And the games are genuinely entertaining. They're only 3-inning games, but there are a lot of extra inning games, a lot of pitches that move like crazy. And I enjoy watching it. Also, apologies if you hear a siren in the background. But I think this is like a great production, and I hope it goes bigger than just on YouTube. I know they get plenty of views on YouTube, but maybe this is something that goes on TV at some point. Their last playoff series featured 3 extra inning games and a walk-off grand slam. Like, this is good stuff. They are taking a kid's backyard game that they literally just started filming in their backyard back in like 2010, 2009. And now they have this huge audience. They have their own plot in a park, in a public park, where they have their stadium. It's their stadium. I'm going to call it their stadium. This is nice. And they've been playing their World Series in bigger venues. They're going to LA this year. I think, it gets plenty of attention. They get a lot of, they have a lot of subscribers. I believe they have over 500,000, but I'd like to see this on the big screen at some point because I'm genuinely entertained, and honestly, they're living out my dream. I wish the wiffle ball league that my friends and I tried starting back when we were younger got a fraction of the attention that these guys do. It's really awesome.
Yeah, that product is a lot of fun here, and I would not be surprised if they did like a partner up, like with something like John Boy. Here,
I think that they have done like a couple of their guys are part of John Boy.
Yeah.
I know Jimmy Norp is full time with them now, and they've done like blitzball with football competitions before. But like I think they have like an endorsement deal with Backyard Sports. I was just awesome. Maybe one day they do end up on ESPN though.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. They had Jack. Shout out to producer Jack. Was watching a kind of polo. It was like a horse polo, water polo, but it was on roller skating. Was it roller skate polo? It was some alternative form of polo. It was very, very strange, but it was on ESPN Ocho or something. So,
the Ocho, yes.
Yes, us night owls, or in Jack's case, a Pacific Coaster, have some interesting TV to watch on the other alternative ESPNs. All right, Alex, I'll throw you up full screen.
All right, thank you.
3, 2, 1.
I did most of my moment to myself during the podcast itself normally, talking about the Mariners. So I am going to talk Mariners, but I'm just going to keep it to 2 things here. First off, Josh Naylor, sign him, extend him, give him the keys to the city. I have never heard of a player that has actively said, I really enjoy hitting at T-Mobile Park / Safeco Field. You have a guy that the entire team loves, the city loves, and actually likes to hit in this ballpark that was made for pitchers. Sign him forever. Make him a Mariner for the rest of his career. You will not regret it. The fact that he was hitting over 300 in the postseason is incredible. Please sign the man forever. And then on a somber note here, rest in peace to Jesus Montero. Passed away after a tragic car accident. He was in intensive care for a while here. But I know that Mariner fans probably don't have the best view of him. But again, remember, it's also a person. Please remember that here. But there's a couple things to bring up. One, he was the one run in Felix's perfect game. Just keep that in mind here too. But this is the one that shocked me. He was 35 when he passed away. He was 35. Springer is around the same age here. Think about this for just a second here. Let's say that trade pans out and Montero is a star, right? There is a non-zero chance that Jesus Montero is on the team when Seattle goes to the ALCS in the year of our Lord 2025. He was only 35. My word. Like, make sure you hug a loved one. You never know when it's just going to be gone.
Yeah, I was stunned, frankly, when I saw that news. I was explaining, I forget who it was, that like Montero was, like you said, he drove in the lone. He was, if I'm not mistaken, was he DHing that day? He
was DHing because John Jaso was catching.
Jaso was behind the plate, and he hit that RBI double. But I remember when he came up as a 21-year-old with the Yankees, and the people in the Bronx were super excited about him. Yeah. I remember he came up and hit pretty well. If I'm not mistaken, there was a chance, maybe he'd be the next Jorge Posada. But yeah, I mean, that's just, it's really tragic. I mean, only 35.
Yeah, absolutely. I echo your sentiment. Hug your loved ones. Tell your friends and family you love them. Tell them you're thinking about them. So on that note, thanks for listening to the podcast, watching the video on YouTube. Make sure you drop a like, drop a follow, drop a sub. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. You can follow me at Mr. Splashman19. That's fine. You can follow Alex at the Sports Guy 242. You can follow Mac at Mathias_A_K. You can follow us collectively at LAR_baseball on Instagram, Twitter. We have some exciting stuff coming. It's almost time for our brain dead off-season content.
Oh yeah.
And we once again get to have the Pete Alonso sweepstakes.
Yes, we do.
We get the Kyle Schwarber sweepstakes. We get is Alex Bregman opting out?
Yeah,
I believe so.
We'll get more Alex Bregman sweepstakes. So
we also have all the players from Japan. The players from Japan coming in.
Yeah, we have Kazuma Okamoto coming over and Munetaka Murakami. Yeah.
So we are playing the greatest hits. We're doing is Pete Alonso going to sign with the Mets today? No. Are the Dodgers going to sign the next great Japanese player?
Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to play the hits. Make sure you stick around. The season doesn't stop just because the World Series ends. So we'll be back to cover the World Series. Hopefully it's an exciting one. Hopefully it's a little bit better than the NLCS. Hopefully it lives up to the standards set by the American League Championship Series. So for Alex, for Mac, and I, hope you have a good night. Toodles. Peace out. losses above replacement.